listen, folks, welcome to another. I don't even know what we call these things. It's just Meister and Juno get together to play games rather ineptly, though I'm hoping you're going to be top notch at this one, because you told me you're quite good at it. So how the hell are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm not too bad, thank you. Yeah.
Now, I noticed there was somebody complimented you on your hair. Yeah,
I grew it myself.
Yeah. I mean, if Robert Smith ever decide, can I ask you, do you model yourself in Robert Smith at all, or Morrissey, or you're obviously a goth? Which
it's kind of a mix of both, I guess. I kind of couldn't decide, so I thought, both of them will do. I'll have like a messy quiff.
Yeah, well, if there's ever a biopic, you're the man. You can play them when they're young. You know what I mean? I don't know who I would play. Maybe a young Eddie Hall or something, but just, not quite as fat. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, if people are watching this, which hopefully they are, mid-year, myself and Jamie, we were part of a forum, which was Think Discord for the older generation. It was kind of like Discord. It's you put posts and you reply to things and all that kind of bollocks. And I can't remember for the life of me who made that. Did we have a thread? Lookalikes or something? I
think so. Yeah, I think that's right.
We might have. And I mean, Richard Hammond, Co-World, he looks quite like everybody. I mean, the number of people he looked like. And yeah, somebody thought that I looked like mid-year. To be fair, I probably did. Like, I've got a beard and I don't look anything like him now, but it's one of these things that just kind of sticks. I've had, what have I had? I had Phil Collins, which, yeah. Somebody said Ant Middleton of SAS. I'm like, I'll have that one. Yep. I've had other less. Yeah, it's quite funny. Somebody will say to me, "Oh, you look like I don't know, Robert McGregor." And I'm like, "You cheeky bastard!" Quick Google that, for fuck's sake. Excuse me. I do apologise. When I was doing my live stream on Sunday, every time I went to cough, I would fling with the microphone. But given our history with microphones and what have you, I don't think we've managed to do a video on one take. It's always been I've just had to disconnect and all that.
So it's been a bit strange. Have you figured out what it is? Is it just a dodgy connection, or is it just a?
No, I don't know. See, the problem. Mostly, I'm not going to move it. The microphone has got the USB bit, and then it's got this round thing where you press like mute or up, down, and whatever. But then the other end is just like, I call it. Is it the 3.5-inch jack? I call it a Walkman because I'm old school.
Yeah.
The Walkman connection is that, and I think if it so much as moves a millimeter, then it starts to kind of cut out. So I've wrapped it around the monitor, so hopefully I'm not going to kind of catch it with.
Fingers crossed. It's like whenever you used to have a Walkman in the 80s and 90s, and like the headphones were on their last legs, you'd kind of wrap it around. You kind of like know the trick of like wrapping it around just right.
Yeah, so you bent the connection so they were touching.
Yeah, it's a science in itself, wasn't it?
Do you know, I actually flung. I can actually still remember. I can still remember when I was. My mum was wanting to clear out of my room, and I can still remember going, "Right, do you use that?" And I don't have that. What about this? That Walkman? Bin, and we flung them out. And I mean, it was the original Walkman. It was the blue, and had the wee kind of foam earphones. They were great.
I went to one of my customers' houses ages ago, and he had to have something on a tape or something, and he pulled out a drawer. He's like, "Oh, what can I play a tape on?" And he just like pulled open a drawer, and there was like one of these original, like the blue Walkmans with the orange headphones.
Yeah,
and I said, that's what. And he was like, "Oh yeah, just this old thing." And I was like, "That's worth about £100, like, or whatever they're worth. You want to look after that." And he was like, "Really, that whole thing?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It's nuts. I saw when I was doing in Swindon yesterday. I came back from Swindon yesterday, just down for one day. But there was a guy sitting next to me, and he had one of the big fat original not iPods. iPod, yeah, just for playing music. The one with the little white disc.
Oh, the dial, yeah.
I had one of them. It was a 60 gig one. and I think I sold it on Marketplace for like 30 quid or something. And then I went to look. I thought, oh, I'm going to buy one again. And they go for daft money now.
Yeah, apparently it's like a real Gen Z thing. They're really into iPods, like the
It's,
refurbished iPods. I think Urban
yeah,
Outfitters was selling up refurbished iPods, and they've like sold out within a few days.
really, yeah. And
Crazy.
I know the original iPhones. My ex, she bought the iPhone when it first came out. It was a silver one. Remember that was the silver one. They go for again. I think we flung it in the bucket. Mental. But you know what? With hindsight, it's easy to sit and say, "Oh, why did you do this and why did you do that?" I mean, back in I know I'm going off topic, but hey ho, people are used to that. Back in the day, when I had the opportunity to, I'd seen a photograph of international karate for the Atari ST. It was in computer video games. I thought, my God, that looks incredible. That looks really good. I need to buy one, but it was like 300 quid. But anyway, I managed to. There was the guy. I think I've told you the story. The guy he was an Atari dealer. He was an Italian guy, and he just dealt with Ataris. It was a tiny little shop, and like we used to go up there on a Saturday morning, just hang about the shop. Probably looking at it now, like kids going into a shop with this guy was probably politically incorrect, but he never interfered with me or anything. But where am I going with this? Anyway, yeah, he was offering a deal. You could do a hire purchase for one. I thought, oh, I'm going to do that, and I sold I think it was my Commodore 64 disk drive. God knows how many discs, 50, 60, 70 discs, original discs. God knows how many tapes. I had a full collection of Zap magazines, and I sold it to a guy for 100 quid. You know what I mean? And people say, oh, that was stupid. But the thing is, back in 1987, I think it was, getting the chance to go from like a Commodore 64 to this brand new 16-bit machine, I wasn't interested in the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
I didn't think, oh, I'm going to play that, and when I'm 56, I'm going to think, oh, I'm great. I wasn't interested. It was old. I didn't want it, and and that's why I think that's why us men have turned into like, but we kind of hoard stuff. I don't really throw things out anymore. I just kind of keep it. But yeah,
Yeah, I've kind of like I've downsized my collection of stuff. I think I might have said that kind of bit before, that I've got like a Vita and a PlayStation 4 and the arcade cabinet, and that's all I've got. But yeah, it's reminded me of when I was at school when I was about like 13, 14. A couple of the other kids there had STs, and one of my mates was trying to sell me a game that was like, it was a box game in its original jewel case and with its little fold up sleeve. And it was, I'm not going to say the name of the game yet, but he knew it was kind of rare. Knew it was kind of like not sought after, but he was like, this is in the future going to be worth something. And I was like, oh yeah, right. And he's gonna offer to sell it to me for 10 quid. So he said, you can borrow it, you can like play on it for a couple of evenings.
What was the system? What was the system, Jamie?
ST.
Oh, the ST, yeah.
Yeah. And he said, if you don't like it, then just bring it back. Just look after it. But if you want it, have it for a tenner. And I was like, nah. I think I managed to make a copy of it, but I didn't want to buy it off him because the 10 quid is a lot of. You could buy a lot of packs of refreshers. It was the Great Gianna Sisters, which is now routinely going for like well over 100 quid, isn't it?
Man, if not more, yeah, because it was subsequently kind of banned. I didn't even realise it was out for the Atari ST.
Yeah,
that's insane. But you're kicking yourself now, eh?
Not as much as the Atari Falcon that I bought for £150 off eBay about 20 years ago, and then
seriously
sold, a few months later for about the same price. They go for like £1,000.
I don't know much. Yeah, I don't know much about the Falcon, but am I right in thinking it was more powerful like than the sort of top? It was almost like the kind of top end Amiga, wasn't it? Like a 4000, was it not? It was.
Yeah, it was like a super ST. There was still kind of like a few flaws there. It's not like the ultimate machine that people seem to think it is, but
yeah,
it was a very, very nice upgrade to the ST.
Aye. And why did it not sell? Is it just came at the wrong time, too pricey?
Wrong time, yeah. And the Atari
Yeah.
market had dried up by then, and they had all kinds of issues making it, and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
it was never meant to be.
Who did you sell it to? Was it somebody that you knew, or was it some
Just
random?
on eBay. Just chucked it back on eBay. I kind of bought it, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but there's not really enough software because obviously it never really took off. So I kind of thought, I'll just stick to the ST. And then just eBay it again.
That's the thing. It is old hindsight. You think, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But back then, you get rid of things, and I mean, I gave, when would it be? 1990. In fact, I do remember it. It was you were probably working that night as well. It was just the millennium. It was the turn of the millennium, and I was on standby because of the millennium bug, so we couldn't do the wages. But I worked for this company for a very short space of time, and he had a little kid. He was about 5 years old or something, and I had a SNES, and I had about 40 games. I think I'm exaggerating. I probably had about 20 games, whatever, boxed and all that. And I says, "Oh, does your kid play games?" Oh, I says, "I brought the box in. There you go. Just have it for nothing, eh?" But
you can never tell how much these things are.
I know. So if the bloke that bought Jamie's Falcon, he wants it back, all right.
Yeah, I hope it's been well loved, and I hope it's had a lot of use. And
I think the only person I think does Mr. Jeff Minter, has he got a Falcon? He must have one, eh?
He would have had to have had one at some point because he made a couple of games for it.
Oh,
he made a game called Llama's App, which is kind of like Defender.
Oh, right.
So,
I wonder if it's on. No, in fact, it's not in that collection thing. Well, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I don't think it is. Yeah, and I think Mark Racing possibly has one, or he did have one.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure, but I mean, I take it was only up for sale for a very short space of time, like the machine.
Like less than a year. Yeah, it wasn't on the market for too long, and then Atari were like, "No, we're not going to make computers anymore. We're just going to do this Jaguar console, which is going to save us, and it's going to." You know how that went.
It's funny. I've got the Jaguar, and I've got about 20 games or something for it, and I've also got the spinner. One of my it's a guy that watches my YouTube channel very kindly put the spinner thing on it, so you can unlock. Yeah. There is an unlock thing. You need 2 gamepads. I'm kind of at the stage where I'm wanting to sell stuff. I want to sell it while it's working, and while I'm still compos mentis to kind of get the use of it. And then I think, but it's Atari Jaguar, and the thing about all that kind of stuff is it's never going to depreciate. It is only going to possibly. It's probably not going to be as worth. Some people think. I mean, you get arseholes on eBay. There's one guy, I don't know what his name is, and he sells. He's got an Atari 800. I've got the original Atari 800. I call it the tank version. It's like solid. You need you need 4 guys to carry it, and I bought that, and it's. I don't play. I don't do anything with it. I just like to kind of go and look at it because that was my first computer I ever really saw. What the hell was I talking about? Atari Jaguar. I can't bloody remember what I was talking
about. We're talking about how they're only going to appreciate in cost.
Yeah. There's this one arsehole on eBay, and he's got. I think there's an Atari 800. There's a Tatong Einstein. Do you remember
Einstein,
that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't even bloody see it. There's a computers, an A links.
Computers links.
Yeah. My mate's got one of them. He keeps meaning to bring it up, and we're going to do an unboxing and just. He tells me it's got the best keyboard ever. But this arsehole sells them for like $999, £1,000, and they'll never sell.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you might get somebody with a bit too much money. They're thinking, I wouldn't. Oh, my husband used to like computers. He always wanted. Oh, I'll buy him an old computer, and he goes, oh, Spectrum 100. Oh, hang on, there's one £1,000. That must be really good, and they'll buy it.
Well, they want it for the exclusivity or something like that, or maybe there's a little bit of people selling them to their mates for a high price on eBay, kind of push the price up a bit, so that then who knows, you know?
I know.
eBay's.
Anyway, folks, listen, we're
Anyway.
kind of going completely off topic, and I think you and I, you need to get onto a live Friday waffle one evening, one Thursday evening. Oh, it's usually a Friday evening, funnily enough, or a Chums Talk Bish, because I think we've got so much we could just talk forever about random computer stuff, whatever. But tonight's video, it's not. I mean, the last two that we've done, and they've gone down an absolute storm, by the way. The last two videos we've done was two games, a game that you picked, a game that I picked, that we quite literally defined as unplayable. You know, your choice, Super Hugh, maybe 33% playable. Flight Path 737, we could never quite figure out where we're going wrong with that one.
Yeah, we went wrong quickly and frequently.
Yeah, we did, but it was a hoot, and I'm sure people enjoyed watching it. So, just talk me about this game, Droid, how it came about, and why we're going to play it.
Yeah, so Droid was originally it was on an ST format cover disc, so it was a public domain game. Well, not a public domain game. It was a chap called Miles Lord who wrote it and sent it into ST format, and they sent him a couple of £100 or something to put it on their cover disc. And it's a little sideways scrolling platform game. You're this little robot. You've got to collect weapons and shoot things and collect keys. Got a bit of a sort of Metroid feel to it. Got a bit of a kind of Xenon sort of just blast everything kind of feel. And it's a really cool game, but you're probably aware that there's two versions of the ST. There's the original ST, and there's the STE, which was kind of like an attempt to make the ST a bit more Amiga-like.
Was the STE the one with the built-in drive? Floppy
So
drive?
Yeah. But that's not the... some original STs also had built-in drives.
Right.
The STE also had a sound chip that could play sampled sound, rather than just like the 3-channel beats
really?
of the original one.
So I didn't know that.
It also had hardware scrolling, and it had a blitter, and it had an extended color palette, and it also had joystick ports on the side. It's actually the same joystick connectors that the Jaguar pads have. So, but it came out like a few years before the Jag, but they actually ended up reusing the same.
So they didn't utilize the 9-pin, the standard 9-pin Atari.
It did have it. It did have the standard joystick ports, but on the side of the STE, there were a couple of.
Right.
Yeah, they were like an extra couple of ports. So it was like, it kind of addressed some of the criticisms of the original ST, but still didn't quite make it as good as an Amiga.
Yeah,
like a kind of a stopgap between the ST and the Falcon.
Because I'm trying. I thought my first ST, I thought it was a 540 STE, but it must have just been the 540 ST, because mine's had that you had to lift it to get access to the mouse and joystick port.
That's right.
And if you couldn't use joystick 2, you had to lift the bloody thing up.
Yeah.
And so was that was the non-STE version, was it?
Yeah, but that was also on the STE. So the STE was like largely compatible with the original STE. It just had these kind of bolt-on bits to kind of make it a little bit better, a little bit more of a games machine. So this game Droid was written for the original Atari ST. And then about 10 or so years ago, I was trying to teach myself how to write stuff for the STE, because I kind of had like half of a kind of an idea of me wanting to make something. This was after I'd done the 2600 game, and I was like, okay, I want to learn a different platform now. So I remember I wasn't feeling very well. I had a cold, and so I was at home for the day, and I was experimenting with using the STE sound chip to play sampled sound. And I for some reason I just remembered this Droid game, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to put sampled sound into Droid? So I disassembled the original Droid game and reassembled it, and it, without me having to do anything, the game reassembled perfectly fine, and I could run it. So effectively, because I disassembled it, I had effectively the source code in front of me. So it wasn't very difficult at all, actually, to put these sampled sounds in. So I posted it up on an Atari ST forum, and they were like, "Oh, this is really cool." would you ever consider making it so that it supports hardware scrolling and has like, you know, you can kind of speed it up by using all this stuff? And like, I had thought about it, but doing all of that is way more complicated than just adding these like little sounds that I put in there. This is just like a little days project that I could do. Whereas the whole thing was, you know, asking for everything else was a complete undertaking. So, but it did kind of put something in the back of my mind, and I was like, that would be quite cool actually to do that. So 4 years ago, 2020, we were all shut inside, nothing to do. So I started to disassemble the like kind of reverse engineer the graphics for Droid, so the sprites and the level data and that kind of thing. I reverse engineered it, figured out how it all was laid out in memory, and then over the course of about 5 or 6 months, I had added, well, actually not added to it. I had to completely rewrite from scratch the entire game based on, and what I'll do in a minute, I'll show you the original game, and then I'll show you the STE.
Yeah. You did send me the you've called it the Droid Definitive Collection. Oh, in fact, that's 2 of them. Yeah. What did you call the new version? Did it
Droid
have a name?
Special Edition.
You see, you missed a trick. It should have been the COVID edition. The COVID edition. Maybe we're looking for a third one. Yeah, that would be excellent. Just before you kind of crack on and let us see it.
Yeah.
When you talk about, I mean, I'm complete moron. I'm the most untechnical person you'll ever meet. In my family, I am the IT guru. You know, guys. Blah blah blah. When you talk about disassemble and then reassemble, is it like unzipping into a folder and then zipping it back up? Is it a bit more kind of complicated than that?
There is a bit more to it than that.
I knew there would be.
So what you're doing is kind of taking the executable. So you know when people talk about writing in an assembly language or in machine code.
Yeah.
You're taking like the executable file and then running it through something that then converts it back into like a text file that then has all of the individual commands.
Kind of like basic, different commands.
Yeah. So effectively, it's the same as kind of having the original code in front of you. But what you're lacking is when somebody writes code, they tend to put comments next to it to remind themselves
of REM statement type thing.
Like REM statements, yeah. So you don't have any of that. So it doesn't. They're not part of the executable file. Sometimes you might be lucky and get some of if it's been compiled with like debug routines in it, you get some of the labels and stuff will be intact. But in terms of actually text that's explaining what the code's doing, you don't get any of that at all. So I could either go 2 routes. I could either try and sort of hack this hardware scrolling and blitter stuff into the original code, but it was actually easier, believe it or not, to rewrite the game completely from scratch after having reverse engineered the graphics and stuff, and just kind of basing it on there was like a YouTube video of somebody doing a playthrough of the whole game, so I was able to kind of like see how far different sprites moved each frame. And you know, I don't know if you know that a lot of you know, when somebody was converting Outrun to the Spectrum or something back in 1987, they weren't taking the arcade code and converting it to Spectrum. They were playing the arcade game and then going, right, this is what I've got to do to kind of make it.
That's right. Yeah. They literally had an arcade machine and they would try and play it and just replicate the graphics.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was doing that, but the difference with it was a remake of the game, but it was a remake for the same platform. So I wasn't remaking an ST game for the PC.
Yeah.
I was remaking an ST game for the ST.
Which isn't really something that you see very often, is it? I mean,
not really. No.
Yeah.
I mean, so some people have done. Funny enough, speaking of Giana Sisters, somebody did an STE enhanced version of Giana Sisters, adding like hardware scrolling and the samples and stuff. So somebody else did Pac-Mania. So there are a few people that, and I guess that's what made me think of, well, maybe I could do this with Droid.
And then on the Commodore 64, there's a group of guys. They took the Ghosts and Goblins and Commando. Both these games were released by Elite, and I think they only had like 3 levels. But these guys added all the levels, and they enhanced the graphics, and they got rid of all the sort of flickering. And it's brilliant when you see somebody doing that, taking an original game. I mean, in fact, that's a pub trivia question. What game had an update to it something like 40 years after it came out? And the answer would be Revenge of the Mutant Camels, because Jeff actually, it was I loved the game, but it was really unwieldy to play. And Jeff released an update to a couple of years ago. Not an update to it, but he released a new version of it, and he'd made it more playable. So that's that's what you call value for money, getting an update to a game which is just like 40 years on. But interesting you're talking about, and I'm simplifying it because that's how I kind of work. When I got my Atari ST, one of the games which I copied from said Atari dealer, and I tried to copy it using, was it Pro Copy? I think it was called Pro Copy. Me and my mate chipped in like 25 quid each. We bought Pro Copy, and we tried to copy Rama, and it wouldn't copy. And eventually I thought, fuck it. So I just, the version that didn't work, I peeled the label off it and put it back on, and I took it back, and I said, it doesn't work. And he put it into the computer and he looked at me and he went, I know that you copied that, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but that'll be the last time I ever do it. And I went, oh, fucking hell. But what we did was, what I loved about the ST was you could put the disc in, and there was like a folder that said samples.
Yeah.
And it was like it was sampled sound effects. I then moved them onto the computer, and we made up a kind of stupid music demo thing, and we were using samples. And it back in the day as well, when Monopoly, believe it or not, folks, was a game that you could buy. You could buy Monopoly and Scrabble for your computer. I had one, and it was written in BASIC, and using there was a speech synthesizer called Sam. It was really basic. You had to type phonetically. So rather than type normal, you'd have to type, I don't know, whatever. You type it as it sounds, and I incorporated Sam into Monopoly, and when you pass go, it would go like cunt or something like that. It was just stupid. We added our own speech into Monopoly. But anyway, I'm going well off topic. You obviously didn't do stupid things like that, but so you cobbled together this. Well, you didn't cobble it together. You wrote this game almost from kind of the ground up, and you didn't actually mention that the guy that wrote the original got in touch with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. I wanted to show him what I'd done. I'm guessing, it's kind of a bit of a weird thing to have somebody approach you and say, "I've remade your game." Something that for the best part of 30 years you've probably not even thought about. And I managed to get in touch with him. I tried to message him on Facebook, and I don't think he's a particularly keen user of Facebook or doesn't use it very frequently, and he just didn't read my message. I tried to message his brother, who had also done the graphics for the game. I don't think he's much of a Facebook user. So I found on the video of the long play on YouTube that I used to use as a reference, Miles is the name of the chap who made the game. He'd written a comment about 9 years ago saying, "Oh yeah, I made this game and sold it to ST format for £250 or something. Thanks for the playthrough. It's brought back loads of memories." And I dropped this comment on this 9-year-old post, and I was like, I've made an enhanced version of the game, or I think Matt Sefton also tried to drop a comment and say, "Oh, have you seen the enhanced version that's been made?" And Miles replied to it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, that sounds great." I don't think he realized that an enhanced version had been made. I think he just thought, "Oh yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea to make an enhanced version."
Yeah, to make one.
He's like, "Yeah," I was like, "No, I've made one. I'd really like you to see it." And I think it like took a few kind of bits of back and forth for him to realise what had actually happened. And then he fired up an emulator and then had a go and was quite impressed. And then about a year later, there's a company called, well, no, not a company. There's a publisher called Bitmapsoft.
Yeah.
They've done quite a few things. They got in touch with me and said, we've been in touch. They've been in touch with Miles. They somehow managed to get hold of him, and they were like, he's pretty keen to see a box release of this game. How about it? We can probably get some floppy disks written with it and get some box art made up. And they got a chap called John Blythe to do a really, really nice bit of box art, like a 3D render, sort of Ed 209 kind of thing with like flamethrowers coming out the front. Really, really cool. And like a manual and a badge and a fridge magnet and that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah. So it was kind of funny.
You got that there? I think you did show me it. I think
I'll see if I've got it.
If you've not, if it's not too much a hassle.
God, I've got that cough now. It's contagious.
Excuse me.
So that's the box, like really, really nice.
Wow.
Nice quality and
that is awesome.
Not that I have my ST anymore, but if I did, there's a floppy disk. No idea if it works, but there's a floppy disk with Droid.
That is so cool.
On it.
Did you ever actually try it? No.
No, I got rid of my ST by the time that this one came out because I moved by then. So
that is wicked. So when did that? So is that game available to buy then? Do you think?
Yeah, you can buy it off the Bitmapsoft site. So that was 2021. So that was a year after I made it.
And do you get any kind of royalties off it at all?
I did get something, yeah. So I don't know how many copies it's don't know how many copies it sold in total or anything, but they did give me a little bit at the start. So,
or you don't get 5 pence per copy sold or anything like that at all. No, they gave you
I'm not sure how they've worked it out in the end, but I've got.
What you need to do is give me the link, and I will put a link to the game.
Cool. All right. Yeah.
Down below. That would be excellent because it's amazing. It's amazing the passion that this kind of whole scene has. There's people who just love to buy like new games. They love the whole box thing, getting badges and all that kind of stuff. I think it's great that there's like new games coming out for old systems.
I think particularly for things like the ST, where because most people had, so Atari made the STE, but in order for companies to make money, they would still write games that just worked on a normal ST as well. Because otherwise you're alienating like most of the audience. So there's kind of this feeling of the STE was never really supported back then, or sort of never really taken advantage of. So I think it's nice to have another game on the shelf for people to kind of validates their support for a machine that kind of
it's a shame. The ST was, for whatever reasons, it was largely overlooked. And I was guilty of it. I got the ST as soon as I could get an Amiga. I got an Amiga because I just looked upon the ST as a slightly inferior Amiga. That's I'm being brutally honest, and I know there's lots of lovers. I mean, the ST was a great machine, but I think from what I gather, Atari just wanted to get it out as quickly as possible, and they did take some shortcuts with the sound chips and that kind of stuff, which was a shame.
I loved the ST, so it's very instrumental in me sort of learning about computers. But I wouldn't have wanted to have heard anything bad said about the ST 30 years ago. But now I would say you absolutely made the right choice going to the Amiga fairly early on. From the sounds of it, you kind of had the ST for a bit, and you thought,
And again, apart from OIDs, which I bought that I think 2 weeks before I traded my Atari ST, and I look upon it's like the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. They're the same. They're exactly the same. You don't buy two, you buy one. Because all the games are the same, and it was the same with the Amiga and the Atari ST, in my opinion, all the games were the same, and they were literally the same. And then once they got to grips with the Amiga, they bit smoother, slightly less scratchy sound.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I think, I think of the Amiga, I think, oh, Sensi Soccer, blah 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 blah. I never think, oh, Sensi Soccer and ST. You always gyrate towards the Amiga, which is a shame. But Oids was a bloody brilliant. In fact, there's a project, young sir. Oids, brilliant game. The scrolling is shit. It would really lend itself to a nice silky smooth. I mean, Oids is a great game, but the scrolling is shit.
I've got a feeling somebody has converted that now to the Amiga. I don't think they've done anything with I think they've just done like a direct kind of, port of it. They've not like used any of the enhanced Amiga hardware or anything, but I think you can actually play it on the Amiga now.
Yeah. But I bought that and then I sold it. Anyway, listen, I'm conscious of your time, so what we're going to do is we're just going to watch. Can you play let us see the original? And
yeah, sure.
Let us see that would be great.
The only thing I don't think you're going to get is sound. I recently updated to the latest Ubuntu, which is great. It works brilliantly, but I can't get sound in Atari at the moment.
Right.
Which is the
to be fair, the sound on this using this StreamYard thing, it's not really set up for sound.
Fair enough. So,
but
probably, I mean, I'll be happy to if you want to link people to a copy of the game as well. Then
what the definitive one?
Yeah, if you want.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, it's my game, so I can at least link to the to my version of it. So
over that option.
Yeah. But just not the compilation, I guess.
Yeah. No, that would be good if you're happy to do that. Actually,
no worries.
I'll just put it on my G drive and people can grab it from there.
Yeah, that's cool. Right, I'm just setting up the emulator mapping thing. I can probably sort of stay on until about 9ish. It's just we haven't voted yet today, so it's the local elections.
Right, yeah.
We want to get down there before 10. So let's pop the disc in. Oh, I need to share my screen, don't I? I need to share my window.
That would be good. Excuse me.
And share screen. Window.
Just when you're doing that, was there any games that you would say the ST version was better than the Amiga? There was definitely games. I can't think offhand what there were, but there was definitely versions of games I thought, no, I prefer the Amiga ones. Prefer the ST ones.
Allegedly, the anything that had 3D on it was better.
In fact, I think Elite actually, I did prefer jumping from the 64 to the ST, and I thought it was great. And then I got it on the Amiga, and it just didn't feel quite as good.
Yeah, I think there's Midwinter as well. The
Starglider possibly as well, maybe.
Yeah, Starglider. I think.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I think these were probably the cause of like many a great argument. But it's so funny looking back now against like ST and Amiga comparisons on 3D games, because the ST had a very, very slightly faster CPU.
Yeah.
But now, if you look at the videos, some games are like a little bit choppier on the Amiga, but put them side by side, and they're both like ultra low frame rate 3D games that look really old. So, it's like a couple of frames per second made all the difference back then. But
every frame counted back then, yeah.
Yeah, but in sort of 2020's eyes,
I wish I could turn that bloody Berserk logo thing off. That's going to. It's not actually taking up any of the screen. That's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, okay, you got it?
I can see that there, yeah.
So I made this little menu. Fortunately, he'd actually made a sequel to Droid called Droid 2, which wasn't quite quite as nice as in some ways, like, you know, he had like a bigger play field and stuff, but I prefer the original Droid, so I've got no kind of intention to make a
So
sequel.
was Droid 2, did that come out shortly after Miles released Droid 1?
Yeah, a couple of years later. I don't know whether
see.
he actually released it then, or whether, I think it was like in the 2000s he made a Droid website, so I think he put it up for download there. So I think he made it in 1994, but I don't think anyone could really get hold of it until
Got
like
you. And this was the one, obviously, that Bitmap Soft published.
Bitmap
Yeah,
Soft,
you've got
yeah.
yours.
That's
yeah,
it.
the Droid COVID edition. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I made this little menu. If I'll show you the original Droid.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of like
for
give
it.
you a better idea of. I'm just going to speed up the loading on this one.
So I'm trying to move that mouse cursor. It's bloody your mouse cursor.
Oh, is it mine? Oh yeah, I'll just wait a sec. So here you go. So
okay. It's quite funny. Miles Lord is like such a posh name, and then the graphics are by Paddy, which is great.
Yeah, but Paddy's just his brother. So I guess they tried
Paddy
to make
Lord. Oh, a great name.
Yeah. So I think Miles just kind of very slightly changed the copyright date on this one to say Bitmap Soft.
Yeah.
So if we press fire to begin, then it takes us to a high score screen. Then we'll press fire again, and then it loads. And then first thing to notice is that the play field it only takes up half the screen. So you got like the play field, you got this banner at the top that says Droid, and then you got this whopping great kind of status thing at the bottom showing you what your energy is and how much ammo you've got.
Yeah.
So
what was the reason for that? Was that to keep the speed up, or
yeah,
to
keep the speed up? Doing scrolling on an ST is really difficult. It takes a lot of CPU. Certainly to do like 8-way scrolling is kind of like almost impossible if you want to have a decent frame rate. So you'll notice as I move around in this game, and if you look at the little animation on the robot, it's really nice, isn't it?
That's pretty nice.
Really well drawn. But if you notice here, the scrolling is 2-way. It only does vertical scrolling. So
right, yeah.
Scrolls up and down. You'll see what happens when I go into. So there are rooms like horizontally. There are rooms, but you'll see what happens when I go into them. So first things first, you see. If I can show my mouse cursor, you see up here. There's like an icon. There's like a thing. So you've got to go and collect that, and that gives you your weapon. So if I tried to shoot, it won't shoot at the moment.
Right, got you. Yeah,
you've got to collect your weapon first.
So what is the idea of this? Is it to get up to the top?
No, it's to get to the end. So you'll get the general concept in a minute. So we can now blast away, and
that's an impressive. Forget the tiny little screen is actually pretty good. I mean, it's
nice, isn't it?
Looks great. I mean, it wouldn't look too out of place like the Bitmap Brothers. You know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah, it's very much got that kind of look.
Yeah.
So you see here, you've got this orange bar, like this orange kind of door thing. I can't go through there at the moment. For God's sake, hang on. But basically, if I went up to that door, I wouldn't be able to go through it.
Yeah.
What I have to do is jump to the top. Now we've got our first enemy here. Now I don't know if you've noticed, but now that one more sprite is on the screen, the frame rate's actually dropped. So it's probably running at about, I don't know, like 12 frames a second, 17 frames a second. The other thing is, I'm just gonna. So when the weapon hits me, when his bullet hits me, it takes energy away. One of the things you can do, you can duck. So you think, that's all right. I'll just dodge these bullets by ducking.
But it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything. Also, these. For God's sake, hang on. So basically, yeah, if you duck, but it still hit you. One of the nice things about making my own version is I could completely take the liberty to sort of change some of the gameplay elements. So I'll show you that when I show you my one in a minute. But let's first dispatch of this villain. Okay, so he's gone. So I'm going to walk off the screen now, and it's like it's just a flip screen game. So you walk off one end of the screen, and it just takes you to the next one. So I've got another robot here. I'm probably going to lose a life. The other thing is it's brutally difficult, this game, and I think that's because Miles was the only playtester, so he was making the game.
Yeah.
You know, The Wicked Father is like really difficult. I was the only person like testing it. So I think, you know, it's that classic, like the same thing happened with Rick Dangerous. You know, the people, you know, legendary.
Oh yeah. I was talking to who was it? It was Richard Leinfelder who programmed Cauldron on the C64, and it's probably in the top 2 most difficult Commodore 64 games ever. It's just unfeasibly difficult. And he said the reason it's like that is because when we were doing, like, we'd do a couple of screens, we'd test it, like that's fine, then we'd do another bit. So we were just kind of like testing it in wee bits, and because we knew what we were doing, we never put it all together. It's only when you put it all together you suddenly realise, fucking hell, this is way too difficult.
Yeah.
But as you say, there's no play testers. I mean, I can imagine getting this difficulty of a game must be pretty. It's a thing that it can make and break a game, can't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it is. It's got to be an art form, I think. So I think my version that I made is less difficult. But again, I actually didn't have anyone testing it, so I'd really love it if you could have a go on it at some point. And
absolutely, I will do not a playthrough, because that means I can complete it. That's never going to happen. Absolutely, I'll do a video for it.
Yeah.
So
so I'll just show you here. You see, like above the droid, there's this orange thing in the air. That's the key for that orange door that I couldn't get through. So if I grab that, and then we'll go back, and then drop down. Another enemy here. Do you also see that I picked up a power up, which
you're firing up the way as well. Oh, no,
I'm firing up, and now I've also picked up a 3-way. So Miles wanted to go for this. You know, in Xenon 2, you had something called Super Nashwan power.
Yeah. You're completely tooled up.
Yeah. So he wanted to have that kind of feel with it. So you'd collect weapons, and each weapon you collect, it would add to the weapons that you had. The thing is, it really eats up your ammo, because I think like each weapon has its own ammo count.
See, it's not unlimited fire.
Unlimited fire. No. So that was something I changed. Again, I'll show you that in a bit. So you kind of get the general concept, don't you? So you go around sort of killing things and collecting bits and pieces.
It reminds me a wee bit like, do you remember? You might be too young for it. On the Spectrum, Bugaboo the Flea.
I know the name, but
you had to kind of jump out the cavern, and used to a bit like the Wicked Father as well. You're trying to navigate to the top, but
right.
I've got to say, it's actually an impressive looking game, and that was given away completely free, was it?
Yeah,
back in the day,
free. So
that's
it's got lovely graphics, isn't it? It's got, and like
it has
really good level design as well.
It doesn't look like a cheapo free game. I mean,
you probably like, you know, it looks like either like it actually does look like a commercial sort of like 25 quid, kind of game, doesn't it? So so that's the original. So I'll just reboot the emulator and show you my version. Also, the one thing you didn't hear there was the sound effects. They were very, very, you probably remember how kind of basic the ST sound was. It was very sort of like white noise for explosions, and it was quite harsh. So I'm just going to load up my version, but you won't be able to hear the effects that I've added.
People will get to see it. I will do a video of it.
But it also didn't have music either. So I actually wrote a sound routine that I called Turbo Chip, because at the time I was making this, I had like a Sony PVM and a Raspberry Pi, with what was it, RetroPie, you know, the
yeah.
emulators. And I was at the time I was making this, I was really into the PC Engine, and that had quite an interesting sound chip. It had, I think it was like 6 channels, but it was still kind of like had a fairly simple kind of sound to it, but it had quite a cool sound. And the thing with the STE is it retained the original Atari ST sound chip for compatibility, but it also had this additional one that was meant for playing samples. So the original ST sound chip had 3 channels, and I made it so that the additional sample chip could play 4 channels. So you had 7 channel sound in total.
Wow.
Based on the and it was kind of based all around the sound that the PC Engine had. So I wrote a piece of title music which used that engine.
And well, if I'm using that on like the Mist or whatever, that should I get the full effect, do you think?
Should do, yeah, because I think the Mist is STE compatible. So yeah, you should have the whole thing. And it also supports the, you know, I was talking about the joystick ports on the side of the STE, the enhanced ones. You can plug a Jaguar pad into an STE and play this game. I wrote.
Can you really? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So you're not hearing.
Yeah, I like that you've actually changed the font as well. It's not the kind of standard built-in font, isn't it? You've kind of
no, it's not. Do you know what font it's from? Do you know what game it's from?
Is it from Alien Breed?
No, it's not. It's from the New Zealand story.
I
really like that font, and I think it really works well for like a robot thing. Just one of my favourite fonts, so I just sort of use that.
It's bloody sad that I was even able to pick a game because a special font. I mean, kids wouldn't even know what the hell that is. Bloody hell. Yeah, that's Now that you mention it, yeah.
So let's. So one nice thing I did was I had the palette fading. So I haven't. So it supports the extra palette in the STE, but I haven't actually changed any of the colors in the game. But I have used it to have really nice smooth fade in and fade out. So hopefully you've noticed the main, hopefully quite obvious difference is the
full screen. Yeah, it's twice the size of the play area.
Yeah,
and you've got a really nice. You've got a really nice little kind of score bit along the bottom. It doesn't kind of eat into the space. It looks much nicer. Yeah,
it's really neat, isn't it? So I was really pleased with that. So and you'll immediately notice the scrolling as well. So let me just grab my weapon.
Did you excuse me? Did you like tweak the controls at all, or did you just kind of leave it?
I did, yeah. The controls in this are much more Mario-like, and it is because that wasn't intentional. Because I was coding it from the ground up. I was like, well, how would I make him jump? I wasn't trying to sort of like consciously make it better than the original Droid, but my thing of like my version of a jump routine just kind of happened to make it nicer. So you kind of, I was sort of like having trouble jumping to the top of the thing. It's because when you fall off a platform in the original, you can't then control him like in midair.
Oh, and can you in this one? It's a bit like what do you call it? Minor 2049, and you can kind of go woo, and you can sort of like kind of go like that, and then move out and then move back in. Yeah, so you can do that and that. Yeah.
So hopefully you've already noticed the
it's scrolling left and right. Yeah,
always. Yeah.
It just looks a bit snappy as well, is it? Is it running a bit quicker, like sort of frame wise?
Yeah, so it's basically pretty much constant 25 frames per second.
Yeah.
So with this one you can duck and the bullets don't hit him.
So what did you do there then? Did you say?
I just made the hotspot for the bullets just like a couple of pixels higher.
See. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Because without that, it was a bit of a pointless exercise ducking, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, there's absolutely no need to do it. There are 2 heights that you can jump. So you've got like the normal jump, and then you've got, if you crouch and then jump, then you do a higher jump. So crouching does do something, but it's a shame that it doesn't also let you dodge bullets. That's kind of introduced a strategy element. So as you can see here, I'm sort of like chickening out and hiding behind this kind of couple of brick kind of things, and he's just not getting me at all. So you can automatically doing that just kind of gave the game a bit of a different strategy, which was
of
very
course,
cool.
yeah, a bit kind of stealth almost, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you that in at the next enemy or the next.
Did you? I'm just trying to think. I'm maybe looking for things that don't exist. Did you change any of like the explosion routines or that? Like
No, they're all the same.
they're all the same. Yeah.
To
be fair, they're good in the original. I mean, it's a nice looking little game.
Yeah. Paddy did a great job. So I'm going to collect the key. So the other thing, because at this point you have to walk off the screen to go to the next screen.
Yeah.
You don't get to in a minute. You'll see there'll be another like droid enemy approaching. Then he'll walk away.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it in a sec, hopefully. Might take a minute or two. What I might do is just jump back up, and that will force him to come out again. But one nice thing about it is you can. I'm trying to speak and play at the same time. Hang on a minute. Can't multitask. I'm not an Amiga. So, okay, so that droid there, I can now walk behind him. So before you just had to go on to the next screen, and then he would immediately be facing you and shooting at you. Whereas you can kind of like I kind of stalked him there. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, it's just little tweaks, but it just makes the overall experience much kind of richer and
yeah. So we'll just go up here and grab another key.
Did you jump through the platform there? Can you jump through a platform to get up?
Yeah. So if I'll show you where so yeah, some of the platforms are solid, but some of the other ones you can sort of jump through. And then if I do the big jump, then he lands on it. So, but the other thing, you see down at the bottom, it says, I'll try and show you, point the mouse to it. You see down here, we've got W, and then it's got 1, 2, 3, R, and B. They're the different weapons that you can pick up, and you can choose between which weapon you're shooting with. So there's one very cool weapon, which I had real fun coding, actually. It's a bomb weapon. I'll pick it up in a minute. It's coming up in a bit.
Yeah, did the original have that the multi weapons, or I mean, you could choose weapons? No,
you couldn't choose them. You could just collect them. So yeah. So we'll just
I mean, you really went to town and added bits to it as well. It was great.
Yeah, totally went for it. So I'm just going to collect that energy thing. So you see here, this is a door. You see there's like a sort of like an entrance there.
Yeah, little kind of hatch thing. Yeah.
So I'm going to go through that, and then I'm going to go through this hatch here, and then collect the bomb, and then go back through, and then so you see down where it's got that. Now it says B. In blue.
Yeah.
So that means I've got the normal weapon, and I've got a bomb. So if I press alternate, that then changes to the bomb. And then you've got this thing that you can just throw around, and you can see it bouncing around there. So the cool thing with that, because you can choose to use it, there's this you see this little droid who's kind of walking back and forth here.
Yeah, he's getting trapped.
Yeah, I can be like, right, I'm going to get him with the bomb, so I can select the bomb and then just go. Whereas before it's like, the other thing is with the original game, the pickups were random. So like sometimes you'd get the bomb, sometimes you wouldn't. So with this one, I made it so that all the pickups were static, so that they're just like always in the same location. And I tried to make it so that if whenever you're playing Metroid and you pick up a new weapon, you like on the next screen the game gives you a reason to use it.
Right, yeah.
The gameplay's kind of, so I tried to kind of put it in that way. So yeah, in a lot of ways, this is more of like a reinterpretation than just a fancy sort of upgrade.
Oh yeah, it's like a real kind of like love letter to the original, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean that's like the ultimate sort of like fan I like it that much that I'll write a better version. I'll improve it. I'll make it even more fun.
Yeah,
that is absolutely awesome. And I've never heard of the game. Not aware of it. I mean, it's a lovely little game.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to play.
Did you add any like extra levels on it? But you use the existing code, all the graphics, etc., didn't you?
You use the existing graphics and the map data. So assets wise, I mean, there were like little things like you see the flames here. On the original, they just had a black background, so it was very much like it had just been like cut out and put.
Yeah, kind of like a tile type thing, whereas you've got it overlapping the sort of
Exactly,
the background. Yeah. No, that's
what I did there is I edited the graphics data to include part of the background. So
that's bloody awesome.
But that was cool. So this upgrade here, the this like double-headed arrow thing in the original game gives you double the firepower. But what I've done is I've made that so that it just restores your energy and ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do that, then you'll see down at the bottom there those the E and the A.
They do. Yeah, they back up again.
So I can complete this game in about 18 minutes. So if you would like me to, I would be happy just to sit here and play it, or if you want to keep it as a mystery. And
I think. Well, listen, go for it. At the end of the day, people can. I mean, it's not like there's a story to it. No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
If people want to end now, you can grab this game at the link below. But yeah, no, go for it.
Yeah.
So is that we're on level 3? Is that we're on level 3 at the moment?
Sort of, yeah. So there's like an upper part of the map, a middle part of the map, and a lower part of the map. Mm-hmm. One thing I did actually is I added a map screen. So if I pause the game, it will show you the current area that you're on. So, and it's not very obvious like what's what, but you know, if you get stuck, you can kind of be like,
is that the whole map? Yeah.
That's just the map of the current section that I'm on.
Oh,
the map of the lower portion of the. The lower third of the map.
I love the kind of static interference as well.
Yeah, so I did that by so you've got on the STE, you've got the hardware scrolling, and what that does, that means that you can shift the screen by up to 15 pixels, so horizontally. So what I did on this screen is I just hammered the hardware scrolling register. So it's just kind of like constantly just like shifting each scan line like up to 15 pixels at a time. And it works quite nicely. It looks you know, kind of has that kind of CRT sort of look to it, doesn't it?
How you never actually ended up just coding games, because you're obviously, I mean, you're a talented bloke, you know what I mean? Did you never have any interest?
I guess.
Yeah. Did you never have any like actual interest in getting into games, or did you not have the knowledge at that time?
I didn't have the knowledge at that time. I think kind of probably back in the 2000s, I would have been more interested in doing music for games rather than games. So, I think, and I've got my own kind of freedom to do the kind of games I want. I'm not kind of relying on this for an income or anything like that. So it's kind of like,
I
think I'm happier to keep it as a hobby, really. But it's certainly there's a set of skills I've only kind of really developed in the last decade, really.
Would you ever consider getting not a commercial release as such, but getting the Wicked Father put out in a cartridge form with box and all that kind of stuff? Is that ever?
If people wanted it, I think like vanity-wise, it wouldn't really kind of mean a lot to me to have a boxed version of the game. I'm not going to be that fussed in that way. I think, you know, there have been a couple of, you know, yourself included, a couple of YouTube videos reviewing it and just saying it's hard as nails, and it's kind of, you know, I think people kind of like find it amusing, but I don't think people would probably, you know, other than to add to the collection, I don't think people would buy.
Anytime I talk about it, I say my mate wrote a game, I say, for the Atari 2600, I says, and he's murdered his children and he's trying to escape again. Like,
I
what?
think
Fucking hell! It's like the
some
blackest, darkest game ever.
well, the thing with so I posted it on Atari Age, which is now actually owned by Atari, but that's a very American centric forum, and I don't think they didn't really understand that kind of dark British sense of humor. So I posted it with all this backstory and stuff, and they were like, "This is really disturbing." Like, I find this like quite and Mayhem, actually, Matt Allen posted in my defense saying, "Oh no, I've known Juno for years. Like he's all right. There's nothing kind of weird about this. It's like British humor."
You might have been the second Atari ST Atari 2600 game to get banned. I think, I don't know if it's banned, but what was that?
Custer's Revenge
banned or something. Yeah. Bloody hell. Awesome.
So another cool thing about this being able to select the weapons is you see that there's these vertical line of things. So I've collected a rocket. So you see I've got like a blue R.
Oh yeah.
If I select the rocket, then I can just like blast these away without having to
shoot up. Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. So we'll deal with all those, and then we'll switch back to our bullet, and then.
So at the point that you had almost finished this game, could you complete it at that point, or because you'd play tested each level so much?
Yeah, because I remember the first time I walked through the map, I obviously made it so that I just had all of the like infinite keys and stuff, so I could just walk through all the barriers and stuff. Maybe I hadn't even implemented like barriers stopping you. I just remember the first time I walked from the start to the finish of the map just to test that the map was working.
Yeah,
and that was quite cool. And then the bit here where this was sort of like I could kind of visualize this in my mind before it happened, but because we've got this corridor that in the original game was like a flip screen thing, but now we've got this corridor thing that you can walk through. Just in my mind, when I was like going to sleep thinking about, what's the next bit of code I'm going to do tomorrow, I was like just thinking about, right, one day, very shortly, I'm going to be walking along here, and then this enemy robot's just going to be walking past me. And I remember the day that I got that code working, and I was like, that's exactly how I thought it was going to be. And
you envisioned it,
yeah. Really cool. So I kind of just got like iteratively more familiar with the map even before the game.
Was that walking? That was almost like walking beneath the platform there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's in the original. I had to keep that in because the way that some of the I'd then have to start heavily editing the map. I did like a couple of tweaks here and there. Another thing is that with the keys that you collect, it's possible to use them on the wrong doors, and then you get yourself kind of totally stuck. So I made it that some of those barrier things are only unlocked after you've collected certain keys and stuff. So you can't get
So you couldn't inadvertently use the wrong key for the wrong door.
Yeah. So that required like a couple of little tweaks to the map, but nothing major at all. But
like that. So see, obviously you've got it scrolling, which is just incredible. Did you just take it was like flip screen, so you just literally just pasted them together and allowed you to scroll? Yeah.
So the way that the level data was laid out, it was kind of like each screen is like 37 tiles high long. So it was like you had like the 37 lines worth of tiles for the first screen, and then the next row of so it was like they were all kind of horizontally. This is kind of difficult to explain, really, I guess. But I had to. You know, like those like sliding, those little those little like wooden puzzles you get as a kid, where it's like you're sliding the tiles to.
Oh yeah, there's a space, and you can only slide one tile along into the space.
Got it. That's it. I don't know what they're called, but you got it. That's exactly what that is. Yeah. It was kind of like that. So it was kind of like moving the level data so that it was like doing that effectively. I'm kind of just shifting it along, so it was horizontally much wider. That's a really, really poor explanation, but yeah, I did have to shift how the data was stored. Yeah. But that I could do that kind of. I wrote a little program that read the original data and then just reformatted it and then wrote out another file. So that want to assess that. But the nice thing is, although it wasn't a scrolling game, the way that he'd made each screen is that they logically followed on from one another.
Aye, they were, yeah.
Because it could be that he might have like made the next screen like a line lower or something.
Aye.
But it just so worked out that it actually worked. It worked converting it this way. So all these little like things that could potentially have been obstacles, kind of worked out. So I'm going to go through this door. So we're going to meet the first enemy that we kill to get a key. So I'm going to go through this barrier and then ammo up. I'm probably going to die because I'm low on energy, but that's all right. I've got 3 other lives. So you've got to, I think these guys take like 80 shots to kill. So you just got to like live and go for it, And they release a key. I'm going to quickly activate my bombs and get rid of this.
Oh, yeah, get rid of him.
Yeah, I love the way these bounce. It was like, when I was doing it, they've got quite a fluid bounce, and that's game. I mean, and I was like dreading. I was like thinking, how am I going to do this? Am I going to have to use like sine waves and cosines and stuff? Is it going to have to be like calculated? But it's actually it just bounces 1 pixel less higher on each bounce.
Oh yeah, and eventually
just doing that, and it's that's just how it works. So and I deduced that just by getting a video of the game and then just single stepping frame by frame. So I didn't like look at his code or anything. I just completely eyeballed it. So that enemy's released a key. On the original game, the enemy releases a key and it drops down. So it would drop down onto the platform and then bounce on the platform. One of those enemies is over like no platform. It's just a void. So if you don't happen to get that key, then it falls through the floor and then you're screwed because you then can't pick up that key.
So it's essentially unplayable then.
Yeah. From that point onwards, you'd had it. So you'd have to start the game again.
Did you know that at the time when you were making this and you thought, I'm going to rectify that bug?
I did, yeah. So what I did is that rather than treating each key as a separate object, I just wrote it. So when you kill him, it just replaces that background tile with a key.
Yeah.
So lots of these kind of changes actually made things a lot easier in terms of collision detection because I don't have to. He's obviously colliding with the map because he's not interacting with the map because he has to fall onto platforms and stuff. So that's just like another map-based thing. I don't have to treat it as a separate object or anything. It just really makes things a lot more simple. So I'm going to collect that key. I've now got 3-way shooting.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I'm gonna, and again, this is where that Metroid thing of like, well, you'll use it immediately after you collect it comes in, because there's these 3 little guys on the wall here, so I can just blast away at them, and then switch back to that.
So was this all machine code or C or
all machine code?
Yeah.
I love assembler. It's like when you read magazines and stuff from when you were reading like C64 and Amiga magazines and stuff, they're like, all the best games are in assembly language, and it just seems like the most scary, unapproachable way of programming a computer. But I prefer it to programming in C. I really like assembly language. You have a hell of a lot of control. So it's not scary at all. I guess now because we've got all that many more resources, then the assemblers and stuff are much nicer now.
Aye. So when you were kind of like disassembling and assembling etc. and changing things, did you use like a PC to do it?
Yeah. So I use my I use Ubuntu Linux. So there's a really nice editor. Yeah, that's a good question because I didn't use an ST to make it. That's what was known back in the day as cross assembling. you'd use a completely different machine to do it. So I've got Linux with a text editor called Sublime Text, which has a Motorola 68000 plugin, so you can so it sort of understands the commands and stuff, and then just Atari to do the testing and that sort of stuff. So
Brilliant.
yeah, and works really nicely. So what I'm collecting here, you see above me, I've actually already collected a few, but you see this thing that kind of looks like I think it was originally meant to be like a grenade or something. But it's not. You don't use it as a grenade. It's something used to, at the very, very end of the game, you need to collect 15 or so of these things. Hopefully I'll be able to show you. And
what are the two little arrows at the top of the screen that are not moving? Is that your mouse thing? Is that the emulator?
The two little. Oh yeah, no.
Sorry, that's the
mouse,
right.
That's out of the way a minute. So I'm just going to stick the light on as well. That's better. Okay. So I'm going to go through this door.
This was the ultimate sort of game for, like, if this had been released in 1987, somebody would have done a map for it.
Right, yeah. Well, that's one of the things in the boxed version. I made a massive JPEG image of all of the.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So that there actually is a map, but yeah, no, it is. You know, in terms of level design, it's lovely. It is a really nice kind of sort of, yeah. So let's bomb the crap out of this guy.
Have you ever been asked to? Has anybody sent you their copy and asked you to sign it at all?
Not yet.
No.
I mean, I've not actually seen much online talking about it. It's I think like it's been covered like a couple of times, but I don't really know what people think about it. I don't know if people have.
It's like, I'll be honest. I was expecting some really woeful sort of typing, like dreadful game, but it's actually a really, really nice little game. It's well put together.
So it was a I started off with a good basis anyway, because it was.
You took and just added to it.
Yeah. And one cool thing there, which is again sort of something that is only really possible in this version of the game, is there's this little gap here, and there's a I've now destroyed it, but there's a gun turret there. You wouldn't have been able to have seen that in the original game. So now, because it scrolls, it just kind of it opens up so much of the map. It's really cool. so a lot of these like gameplay elements just happen to come about
just
on their
almost happened by accident.
Yeah,
as a result of what you've kind of done it. You've taken up.
The game sort of writes itself in a lot of ways. Which is pretty cool. So I'm going to grab some more ammo. I'm pretty low on energy, so I'm probably going to die. I can usually do this on 1 credit. And do you notice I'm actually not shooting everything? All of these like little things in the ground that are shooting bombs, I'm just walking past them. I'm only really concentrating on killing enemies that move. Apart from like there's a couple of little things on the wall here that I'm going to get. So
I was just about to say your energy is going down. Yeah. I take it. Obviously, we've not got the benefit of sound. When you get hit, does it make a noise?
It doesn't make a noise when you get hit, but when you shoot your weapon and when things explode and stuff, you've got like proper sample sound. So that was fun to do. So it's kind of it's nice to have not just done the coding, but to be able to get involved in the audio side of it as well.
Yeah,
it's cool. And it's got in-game music too, and and again, here's another thing where the bombs come in handy. So I don't know if you spotted as I was jumping down there. There's these little robots walking. So there wouldn't have really been an easy way of getting them in the original, but I can just shoot a bunch of bombs down the.
So even though you can't actually see them on the screen, they're still going to take.
They're still going to take the hit. And one nice little trick for seeing whether you've hit them or not is you've got the score down on the bottom right.
So it's like a visual indicator. Yeah. It's funny, as a consumer of games, anytime I played, like say something like, I don't know, Time Pilot, if somebody one of the wee parachutists disappeared off the screen, I would then go to the screen to look for him. I'm like, where the hell's he going? And I couldn't figure out, well, why couldn't he disappear? I didn't realise, not excuse me, not realising that it's all to do with code. And it's like a racing game in pole position. If you get overtaken and then you accelerate, you're not. And once the guy goes off the screen, he doesn't stay on the map. He vanishes. And
That's
as a stupid person, I couldn't under. That's why. Where's the car going? Where is it? It's all to do with, like, I don't know, screen mapping, whatever.
Yeah, you kind of so with this game, I basically any object that's 64 pixels outside of the screen border, they just get ignored. So like if I shoot a bullet and it goes like 64 pixels beyond the edge of the screen, it just disappears. It just goes. It just gets deleted from the list of objects. So I'm going to go. So if you notice here, you see that this kind of barrier thing is all metal. You'll see what happens in a minute. So I'll go through this barrier, kill this guy, grab a couple of these keys, and then there's another one of these grenade things here, and another coloured key. And what I should have done is temporarily sort of when I'll show you what will have happened. So you see now that barrier is now an orange bar rather than covered with metal. So it's like so the thing is, if I hadn't done that, it would have been possible to have used an orange key there that you then needed later on, and then you've been stuck. So I made it so that it did that. And the it's not obvious that an area has been unlocked. What I should have done is had it so that for a second or so, this status panel was replaced with like section unlocked, like text saying,
just a little kind of visual indicator.
It's just some kind of idea that it had done something, because you might think, oh well, this area is blocked off, I'm not going to bother with it. In some places, so I'm going to use the little stalking trick to get this guy and then stock up on ammo, go through here, and that's another section that would have previously been blocked off as well. We can go through there. So we're actually now going back fairly close to the start of the map. So we're kind of having to loop around a bit.
So actually, I mean, I think there must there must be a lot of expertise goes into the design of levels. I mean, even like you take something like Mamemeister. Mamemeister, a lot of people think, it's a simple game, but the level structure was just pixel perfect. And, and that's what makes a good game stick out from a shite game. We've all played that. We've all played games that are just far too easy. And this game, from what I've seen here, it's really well laid out. It's lovely. Yeah, no, it's really, really nicely done. The bit at the top here is actually optional. I don't have to go through this bit, but I'm going to, because there's an upgrade that gives me a laser that's twice as powerful. So you get that upgrade kind of later on in the game anyway, but I might as well pick it up early. I'm going to switch to rocket as well, so I can shoot those gun emplacements. And you've got the little, so you're kind of walking against the conveyor belt thing. Yeah. that was another bit of code that was a little bit tricky to do, actually, getting the scrolling, because it makes the screen only scroll like 1 pixel at a time rather than so to get that so that the sprite looked smooth as well was just took some thinking, really. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to my 3-way power, because you can do that's a really good sort of melee attack thing, because that just decimates enemies in no time. And then I'll do my bombs here. So yeah, I love how that's really brought out that strategic element to the game, rather than it just kind of being like not a mindless blaster, but you've got your sort of thinking man's. I mean, there's more than one way to play it. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, when I play it kind of on the route that I know, but it would be interesting to see if to see how other people play it. It would be quite cool. It's really, I mean, this is great. Just listen to somebody playing their game and talking about what inspired the level design and why you did this and why you didn't do that. It's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to attack this guy with. I'm going to go for the bombs.
What the fuck is that enemy you're shooting? It's like some demented moth or something. What?
Yeah, like some mutant dustbin or something. Yeah, he's like a demon or something. I don't know. Yeah, pretty foreboding looking character, isn't it? Oh, there is a cheat mode. So if you do end up playing it and you think, oh, this is quite difficult, because like I say, I was the only person that I might be making this look kind of fairly easy, but I was the only person who was testing this at the time.
Yeah.
There is a cheat mode. If you type "feel cosmic" all the time on the screen, you get infinite ammo and infinite energy, and you get all the weapons at once.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a trainer mode. Right, let's do this guy. Yeah, we're getting with the 3-way. There's another new enemy coming up after this screen, which is pretty cool. This kind of like tank thing that shoots bombs. So I just crouch, and although he's overlaying my sprite, he's not close enough to hit me.
I mean, this game is, it could have justified a commercial release, absolutely, back in the day.
Yeah.
When you compare what else was out there, and the fact, all right, the version that we're playing here is your enhanced version, but the fact that this was written and given away for free, it's a lovely little impressive game.
Yeah, it's very, very well done. So we've got some nice little underwater bits here. No, it doesn't kind of, it's not like the Wicked Father approach where it makes you...
energy starts going down. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a really nice little, you'll see them in a minute. There's some really nice animated fish, which in the original game, they killed you. Well, not killed you, but they took energy from you. But I thought that was a bit too cruel, but I wanted to keep them in just because it was just a nice graphic detail. So you'll see it in a minute. It's just kind of it makes it seem more like a nice touch rather than something. Yeah. So nice fat wad of
power-ups and energy there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the wee guy at the top there? Looked like Finding Nemo, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so go through here. Okay. Yeah.
Right, these wee guys. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. if you walked into one of those in the original, you'd lose some energy. But I thought they were just nice to keep there.
I think sometimes they just make game mechanics slightly too unfair. It's like I can't really avoid. I mean, there's no way you're going to get up there without. If you can't avoid something, then don't put it in, because you should have the ability, with skill, etc., to get past something, and just to have it is completely unfair.
That's right. So the next screen, this is so what I did here, you've got this kind of, so this platform was in the original, this sort of like, blown up thing with the the fire, on fire on the top. I had it so that this is another thing that if you fall down this hole and you haven't collected a particular key, then again, you can't go any further. So I made it so that was just totally, that was a complete platform that you couldn't go through. And then when you collected the certain number of keys that you needed, then kind of converts it back.
It opens out.
Right. So it opens up the area.
Yeah.
So we'll just get that energy. Then we'll fall all the way down. There's some ammo. Was
the Wicked Father inspired by this game, perchance, or did it come at a different?
It wasn't. It was actually inspired by. There used to be this little flash animation game that you could just play on the web called Puzzle Farter, and you look like this little Ed the Duck kind of character, and you had to guff your way up to the top of the screen. And I think like when I was making the Wicked Father, I was like kind of trying to make a similar sort of game to that. And then just one day that the whole like idea of the water rising came to me, and then from there just the horrible plot line.
The golf background obviously had a helped to kind of influence it. Yeah.
So we're pretty much at the end of the game now. So it's just so there's another one of those. There's a little slug down here, and then a big tank. Now these tanks don't do those kind of weird looking things that release the blue keys. These tanks don't release keys. In fact, you can complete the whole game only by killing those enemies that release the keys.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it is. You're only obliged to kill those ones. All of the other enemies can actually be ignored if you.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Which,
where's the fun in that, though? Eh?
Exactly. Yeah. So I've got a nice little invincibility thing that let me walk through the lava.
But some of the graphics for this are excellent. Some of the sort
of really good, aren't they?
The organic sort of mushrooms and I don't know what that's like, mold and fungus and
yeah. No, they totally got that Bitmap Brothers
really.
Kind of what is it? Dan Coleman, wasn't it? Was the Not Coleman. Dan Malone.
I've interviewed Dan Malone a couple of times. He's a cracking bloke.
Right. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He did like the Chaos Engine and that kind of stuff. He's an absolute top bloke.
Yeah. It's amazing how like the Bitmap Brothers actually had two different graphic artists, yet all of their games look so cohesive. Pretty amazing, really. Yeah, I love the Bitmap Brothers stuff. Chaos Engine's amazing. Right,
and Dan also did the Secret Armor of Interiad.
Did he?
Yeah, he did that. That was one of his first games. Right.
Yeah. I think he's still doing art, isn't he? He's still like illustrating.
I think he does. Aye.
Yeah.
I had him and Richard Leinfeldner on a video about a year ago actually, and I also interviewed Dan at Play Blackpool. That's cool. Where I met him. He's a character. He's got the hat and that. He's an absolute legend.
Right, I think I'm probably going to lose another life, but it's okay. I've collected a couple along the way. Yep, run out of ammo. That's all right. Grab some energy. You see this guy spinning around? He's the end of game boss.
I like how it gives you a wee kind of teaser, for fuck's sake. Here we go, boys. We're going into battle now.
Like, what the fuck is that? It's like, and again, that's something that having the map scrolling like this, it kind of gives you that little hint that something's there. Whereas, on the original, you would have had to have walked into that room to have seen him.
So can you bring up the map now? Then is it bigger or what?
No, I mean, as in making it so that the play field scrolls in all of these.
Yeah. Oh no, that definitely. Yeah.
It just kind of gives you that kind of little hint that you're going to be facing something pretty horrific in a minute. So, I did actually take the liberty to put. I just collected there the thing that restores your health and ammo. I thought I might as well play fair. So the strategy with this is he starts spinning around, and then you just mash the crap out of the fire button, and this is a good weapon to do it on. And then he'll either follow you the next time he starts moving around, or he'll just go around in a circle again. Yeah, see, he's like stalking me now. That's fine. He can't go anywhere further than that. There we go. He's gone.
Hey.
So we'll just climb up to the top, and now. So you see, I've got like 15 of those little grenade things. If I now go to the top of the screen, we've got some barriers to go through. But although these are orange barriers, you use the grenades, or if you walk into them.
Right, okay, yeah.
There's 13 of these left, so we'll walk through them all. And there we go.
Brilliant.
And that little weird thing there that jumped out of the robot is that's from another game that Miles made called Hoog. It's quite a cool little game. It's sort of like Lemmingsy. You've got these little characters called Hoog, and you've got to give them balloons so they can fly up. It's a really, really charming little game. And I thought that would be such a nice nod to it, to have it, you know, it was Hoog all along controlling the robot.
If it wasn't for you pesky meddling kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks a wee bit like the it looks a wee bit like the characters at Flood, which was actually
doesn't it?
No, I was going to say Peter Undy. No, Peter. What's his name? The guy that nobody talks about. Peter Populous. Peter Molyneux. Yeah, Flood. That was on the. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. I will put a wee spoiler. Obviously, if people don't want to see the end, they want to get that to themselves. But that is superb. You better wind your time if you're going to vote.
Yeah, I better. It's not too far away, but better get the old boots on.
Yeah, I'll just unshare that for a second. So listen, that is absolutely awesome. Thanks for taking the time to show that game. It's a game I've never heard of. I didn't even know it exists, and I will do my own version. I will also put a link to. Have you given me the copy of the definitive or the COVID version?
I've given you the definitive collection.
Yes,
version.
collection.
What I'll do in about an hour or so, I'll do like a copy that's just got my version in it.
And you're happy enough for me to share that?
Yeah, that's cool. That's all right.
Brilliant. I will also I take it, you can still buy that game, so I'll put a link. I'll find it. I'll put a link to the Bitmap Soft website thing where they can download it. And if anybody wants it signed, I am actually Jamie's agent. Send the game to me. I will arrange for a fee to get it signed and get it sent back to you. So anyway, Jamie, listen, I'm going to let you crack on, get your voting done. Always a pleasure to have you on. I'll give you a shout in a couple of weeks' time. I'll get you on just for a live waffle or a chums talk pish. And
we'll have an answer.
And I'll also do a bit of digging, and I'll find another impossible game that we can tackle head on.
Do it.
All right. As always, folks, thank you very much for watching.
Take care. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye.